signed up, you originally were going to have a presentation by our Senior VP for Business Development on our enterprise side of our business, Chris Roskin. Unfortunately, last night and into this morning, he fell sick. So instead, you have myself, Paula, and Tim, as we announced. So bear with us, because this is Chris's amazing presentation that we learned this morning. Okay, so I have a little bit of notes. I tend to not like to have notes, but I want to make sure I get you all the points that we were trying to cover. So as you guys know, we're Diamond Assets. I'm Diamond McKenna. I co-founded the company about a little over 10 years ago, and we've really expanded our reach in the Apple ecosystem, and we are going to talk about innovation. Which button do I hit?
I think just
the play button?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So we live in a world where innovation is constantly changing. It's, we constantly are trying to keep up. And if you look at how far we have come, an example, not in the technology space or in the technology space that we're used to, if you look at the first airplane flight, it went a couple hundred feet. It was very, very clunky. And that was just a little over 100 years ago. And then now, in almost 70, we sent a man to the moon. But now a general citizen like you or I, if we all had the right funds and knew Elon Musk, we could also go to the moon. So it's amazing in just a short amount of time how fast technology can really run the planet. So with that being said, technology is not linear. And I would argue that everyone in this room would probably agree with that. It has exponential growth. So if you think about anything and everything with technology, one problem compounds on top of the other. So when we innovate, we're constantly addressing more and more issues. If you think back to the days of dial-up internet, in the home, every two to 4 years, we have doubled our downloads in every home across the country, across the world, really. And now every home almost has some sort of technology. So we're constantly trying to keep up with that. We're constantly innovating to make sure that we're ahead of that curve. I mean, how many people in this room, you have a cell phone or a laptop that's 2 years old, and that new release comes out, and you're like, my machine, it really is kind of moving slow. So we're constantly looking for our devices to do more for us, to do it faster for us, and how we use that in our everyday life, and how people around the world here, and how we're trying to stay up to date with that and move our company forward. So I was not alive when the first computer came out with Apple. But I do remember when the iPhone came out, and I was a Sidekick fan. Before that, I had a Nextel two-way, and neither of those exist anymore. However, someone brought back the flip phone, which is kind of interesting. I guess I can appreciate that. But now look where we are. We're into virtual headsets, and people are working in ways that we never probably imagined. I got a virtual headset. I'm still trying to figure out how to use it, because it's so new. It's such an amazing feature that Apple came up with. But I know a lot of people who are using it in their everyday work, and they say it is absolutely amazing. It's changed their experience completely. So where did technology get us? Why did we start doing this? And Paula's going to touch a little bit more on this later. But my husband and I saw a need. We saw that Apple had come into the picture with the iPad, and all these schools across the country bought into it, which was great because it changed the classroom. As you can see, you look back in the day and everything was written down on a piece of paper, and now you have technology at your fingertips. But it can't stop, in 2007 when we released the iPad. And then we expanded our reach into the enterprise space. And so it's the same thing. Apple, Jamf has done a great job of highlighting this. Apple has definitely broke into the enterprise space at exponential growth, right? We're back to that exponential piece of innovation. Enterprises across the world who only operated on PCs have made that switch and are making that an option for their employees. And it drives efficiency. It has so much stronger machines for those editing and film industries. And we knew that we needed to bring our solution and innovate alongside our enterprise customers as well so that they could keep investing and innovating in their spaces. So we're that partner that wants to keep up pace. About 6 or 7 years ago, we started partnering with Jamf on a sustainability module. And it was one of the first things that Jamf put into their portal to do with buyback and sustainability. And over the years, we've continued to work with Jamf. We've continued to work with our customers to understand how that very initial spreadsheet kind of driven solution can be put into a way that our customers can use with ease of use. And so you're going to hear more about that and see how that works from Tim. But for now, I'm going to turn over to Paula. She's going to tell you a little bit more about Diamond Assets. If it was me, I would use the whole 45 minutes. So we are going to give it to somebody who will not go on and on and on about the history of the company. But you're more than welcome to stop by afterwards if you want to hear more.
Great. Thanks, Diamond. Hi, my name is Paula Curry, and I head up the education division for Diamond Assets. And there is Chris, who is going to be here today. He heads up the enterprise division. So who are we, right? Who is Diamond Assets? As Diamond said, she wasn't alive when in 1984, and I was. So I've been doing this for a very long time. And I worked for Apple in education for 10 years. So I'm very familiar, with Diamond and Mike McKenna. Mike and I worked alongside each other while we were at Apple. So I know the education space very well, and I know the value of Apple very well. So I'm very passionate about this. So Diamond is, like Diamond said, about 10 years old, and we're a buyback company, but we're much more than that. And we're going to talk to you about that today. But who are we? We were founded 10 years ago. We started out in school systems because schools really need that money to be able to sustain that technology. And then folks like IBM, right? We've all heard of IBM. They decided about 10 years ago to go with, to partner with Apple. And they were one of Apple's biggest customers right out of the gate. And the CIO of IBM did a huge return on investment study. So that study is something that Apple gravitated to and really talked to all of their customers about. That, hey, enterprises, you too can see this sustainability and what the value is at the end of a life of a device. So we're going to go over the who, what, why, when, how type of thing. And that's really what weighs on your minds, the people that Tim, my team, talks to every day. Like, what device are we going to buy and why, right? When I used to talk to superintendents, I would say, hey, if I could tell you that an Apple iPad, you could buy an Apple iPad for less than you're buying a Chromebook, would you do that? Every single time the answer was yes, absolutely. The problem is that the assumption is Apple is much more expensive. And it's with people like you that stop that conversation and say, wait a minute, hold on, time out here. Like the IBM, CIO of IBM said, hey, wait a minute, time out. Apple's not more expensive because at the end of 4 years, Mr. Superintendent or CIO, I am from Diamond Assets, I'm going to give you $150 for that iPad, or I'm going to give you $400 for that MacBook. So you do that math in that sustainability plan, and Apple comes out a lot cheaper than any alternative. So to reiterate, what do? We help you plan. In schools, we go and meet with the superintendent and boards, and we do a sustainability plan for 10 years. We do the same thing with enterprises. So on the enterprise side of the house, we have about 40 years of experience, and Tim, who's going to be talking to you, he's a former superintendent. So we know our business very well. And the thing is, we do buyback every day, right? A lot of times, you're going to touch a buyback once every 3 or 4 years, and things change. Like Diamond was just saying, the innovation is very rapid. So when is the right time to do that buyback? There is a tipping point when you're going to start losing more money than you can actually get. And we're here to talk to you about that. The digital divide. So when I was at Apple, I would literally just beat my head against a brick wall because I would have some of these schools, this was before COVID, that would say, you know what, Paula, I'm not going to spend that amount of money. Pen and pencil are just fine for our students. That's how that mentality, right? And so a lot of bad things came out of COVID, but a lot of good things came out of COVID. And the best thing was I finally saw the digital divide shrink. A one-to-one device, so one device per student, And that digital divide really shrank down. So you saw that is exactly what COVID did for our schools and for businesses. So a lot of people started saying, hey, let's work from home. What is this work from home thing? I remember during COVID, my husband and my son had to work from home, right? And he was in school. But anyway, my husband, I don't know what he thought I did all these years when I worked from home, right? And he would like schedule Orkin to do the pest control. I'm like, could you please stop scheduling people to come to the house because it's my office. Like, don't schedule the painters at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because I have a conference call. I can't let them in. So he is working from home, and then all of a sudden he comes up and he's like, you really do just work all the time in your office. Like, can we go to lunch? Can we eat? Like, I'm like, no, I'm working. Please don't do it. So this whole concept of, the digital divide, mostly for schools, but also in businesses, you can absolutely work anywhere. It used to be just the people like Tim and I on the road, that those guys are the ones that can work from anywhere. But now after COVID, what that brought to us is you really can work anywhere. The other thing that we are very passionate about, obviously, is the environment. And this is a very scary slide for me, is this next one, is when you talk about that innovation and you see that and you're like, yeah, I remember going from the Apple journey or the PC journey, and now you've got these goggles on and your world is just right there, is that today we have 62 million pounds of e-waste, and in 2030 we're going to have 82 million. So that's what we do, is we recycle responsibly, right? We destroy all the data. That's critical for your employees and your students. And then we provide you with a really nice check afterwards that you can just reinvest and continue to buy Apple. So timing is everything. And that's what Tim's going to show you. The beautiful thing about what we have developed is it's simple. It's easy, and it's free. So yeah, I'm going to say that again. Simple, easy, and free. And a lot of times simple isn't easy, right? It was very hard for our CIO and his team to develop what he's going to show you. But we're very excited because it's easy. And how will I know? Like, how do I know, Paula and Tim, when the right time is to do this buyback? When are my Macs at the most? When am I going to get the highest return on my Macs and my iPads? And then, of course, Apple's going to release another iOS. When are my oldest devices not going to be able to keep up with the pace of technology? So Tim's going to show you that in a live demo. Do you need? I don't think so. Okay.
Diamond Assets, as I said, I'm a former superintendent. I did buyback way back when. I was our school district was Diamond Assets' second customer ever in 2014. So basically, I think I've done buyback since the beginning of buyback. I'm like the second buyback person ever in traditional buyback. There's been lots of people who have recycled or thrown stuff away, but as far as buyback, I'm pretty much the second person ever. But what I want to show you is this. When it comes to maximizing your, not only the ability to offload devices, but to try to maximize the sweet spot for when should you do it, it's nice to have a tool in place. Now, back when we were doing it, back in the schools, it was you kind of like, okay, when's a good time to do it? Well, we kind of guessed, and it evolved over time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off stage, and I'm going to go to our live demonstration so I can show you what it looks like when you hook up your Jamf to our portal. And again, it's free, but it's a great way to kind of see things in a more granular sense. And again, it's a test, but I can get you hooked up while you're here or afterwards and connect your stuff so you can see it and you can actually play with it with your own device list. So I'm going to run this way and get that hooked up. Awesome. Okay, so our portal is called Clarity, and in our portal, you can, when we do our business with our clients, school and enterprise, we work through this, and this is just the main page. There's request a quote, quotes, orders, etc. But what I really want to show you is devices. And in here, we have a partnership with Jamf. And so you've got, whether you've got Jamf Pro or Jamf School, you can link up your MDM to our portal, and it's going to pull your information. And so in this test demo, you'll see here that this account has 5,300 devices. The average age of your fleet, 3.5 years. The 3.2 million potential value, think of that as your Kelley Blue Book of the current devices that you have, and then what percentage of your fleet is still supported with OS updates. And so what the colors mean, the dark green is 1 to 2 year old devices, the lighter green 3-year-old, the orange, the 3-year-old here, the orange is 4, and then the red is 5 or more years old. And in this situation, you scroll down, and when it pulls your stuff, let's see if I can scroll down here. It'll pull all of your devices by model. It'll tell you the age of them and how many you have and what the current, again, Blue Book value is. And from there, it's a nice way to look and say, okay, maybe it's time to get rid of some of these things that are a little bit older. But within the portal, there are different categories here. You can, if you want to just filter, I want to look at what's our laptop fleet. As you can see here, it will update. And, 3,200 laptops here, average age, et cetera. You can go down more of the micro and look at just devices that are a certain age and scroll down and see those. The other thing is, within your Jamf Pro or School, if you have user groups, so MDM groups, you probably all know what those are, you probably have some, it'll pull those groups over, and you can sort by those. So let's just say if you're, you've got a department within your company, you click on it, it's a default because it says default because it's a test, but you can maybe have, I don't know, whatever department, and you click on that one or click on the different ones. It'll tell you how many devices you have in there, what the age is, and the value of that. Some schools I work with, they'll do it by primary, secondary, teachers versus students, AppleCare devices, non-AppleCare devices. And so as long as you have that group within your MDM, it'll pull it over. But what's nice about this is that it gives you a nice snapshot. It's another way to look at your fleet in real time, and when you're having conversations internally about when should we look at offloading, what devices still have value, and then request, figure out, that's offload a part of it, or offload all of it. And so again, it's a nice tool, it's very clean. I like this as a superintendent because I don't get into a lot of the granular stuff. A lot of you guys do. And this is, it's very simple for me to understand. But it tells a story, and it tells your story, which is the best part. It's not hypothetical. It's based on your actual device fleet. As long as it's in your MDM, it'll pull over. And when it comes to how that works, it's a simple, you connect your ID and in this case for Pro, your client secret and your URL, you click refresh, and it'll pull it over. It'll probably take 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how large your fleet is. But it's a simple click like that, and then it'll pull it. It'll give you a little message saying it's imported, and it's for, again, it's something that we have worked with Jamf because we found both sides as a value to our school and our enterprise clients as a tool for helping make the decisions. Again, it's based on your stuff. So, and we can build a quote off of this if you tell us what you want us to look at. But it's a tool for us to help support you in the sustainability piece. And we have a lot of other pieces to tools. We can map out projections down the road and come up with pricing predictions and stuff based on what you have. But again, this is a great tool to have, and it's free. And if you want to get into it, we can get you into it while we're here at the conference. We can do it throughout the day. We can do it at any time, and come on site, work with you, do it here remotely. It's a great tool for you. So again, that's what we wanted to share.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
So I'll wrap this all together, and ultimately our goal is to provide as much value back to our clients, continue to get feedback. It's our first release of this version from our clients, so we're still making edits. We're adding to these features, especially in terms of ESG readouts. You can add people and take people away, give them different views within your organization, but ultimately provide you guys back a view to continue to be able to plan, to invest, so you can innovate and move your organizations forward. That is a little bit about who we are and what we're here doing. Is there any questions or comments that we have a few minutes that we can take?
Do you guys have a function for exporting information? Like if I want historical data of like all the trade-ins and stuff that I've done in like the portal itself?
In our portal, we have, if you want to see how many times you've done a buyback with us, that's all archived. And so you can see the orders, your current order, any previous orders. Absolutely, and there'll be reports within those as well. So you can, with the buyback, you would get a list not only of what we paid for every device, you'd get a list by serial number, proof that we have certification and validation that we've wiped the device, and if it needed to be recycled, we mentioned that as well by serial number if needed. But then you can always go back to that. You can export it as a PDF or as an Excel spreadsheet. But all of your orders would be in the portal, absolutely.
And you could give different people within your organization a view to it. So if you have finance and they want to see the cost profiles, but you have someone that's managing a different part of the IT function, but you don't want them to have access to what those funds look like, you can turn off or turn on certain features to allow that within the portal at the account management level.
We assign one person from your organization to be like the admin for your organization, but then that person, so if it's you, we won't be bypassing you to other people. You control who has access. And then whenever you do another order, it would come through you. And then again, like Diamond said, if you want to have people that have viewing rights, or if you want to have people that have, if you have to have the CFO approve things, you can give that person the rights to do that.
Also, I know this is more Mac management, but do you guys also support Windows for like trade-ins or anything like that?
So we have partners. We specialize in Apple. That's what we've done for 10 years. We pride ourselves in staying on top of that and being ahead of the curve when it comes to that buyback. But we do work with partners. We do some in-house. We have the ability to. There's a lot of similarities between how you do that process on the back end. But we also know that we have really great partners that we've vetted across the country depending on what the need is of the client. So if we can't service it internally, we're going to bring somebody in and take all that headache away, so you still have a seamless, expression, one throat to choke, right, type experience, that you're not working with multiple vendors to achieve the same outcome. And we really tailor, we've done this for a long time, right? So we started off with ITAD partners, and ITAD does not give you the most return. So we've learned that even though they're really great at doing non-Apple, they're not great at providing value back to our clients. So we've really reached out and made networks with the people that are like us, but on the other software side.
And then, sorry, 2 more questions.
No, you're okay.
So is there a limit for what type of model you will accept? So you take like everything, like example, I know you said Windows, you do some of it, but like if you do like really old ThinkPads, do you still take those too, or is it just business model?
If we are doing a buyback and you have stuff that needs to be removed because you know it's aging and it just needs to be taken care of the right way, we're going to take that and take care of it for you and make sure that we move it on down the stream. We only have R2 certified and eSteward certified partners that work downstream, and we'll make sure that that's, again, that seamless approach. We don't want you to have to be like gosh, I have that closet over here that I still have to deal with later. We'll take care of that along with all the other equipment.
And then if you want to pretty much be onboarded to this, do you have a specific rep or account manager or something per person? And then also, what is the time period for that?
To be onboarded, we have an enterprise division, so it just depends if you are enterprise. Chris has a team that would be assigned to you depending on where you are in the United States, and then I run the education team, and it would just depend where you are again in the United States, and I would assign one of those people on my team if you're education.
If you wanted to get onboarded, like today, for example, we could get you into the system.
Yeah.
And help you with that, and then we can figure out who your rep would be, but we can get you into our portal. Not a problem. It'll only take a few minutes.
Yeah, it's very fast.
Yes, we want to make sure that it's easy access, right? Because anyone that has to spend 20 minutes, none of us have that kind of time to walk through all these setups and questions and ask your CFO for information. No one wants to have to do that. So we try to make it as simple as possible, and that's really possible through our integration with Jamf.
If you get money back from...
There's a certain threshold. If we get a certain amount, we may lose our status.
And we can do, we're very nimble that way. So if you wanted us to donate the funds to a certain organization, we can absolutely do that.
And we've had where people have asked us to credit their funds back to their next order. So it's getting applied funds into that next refresh, but directly to the vendor, so that it's not passing back through. That way you can benefit from it, but without it hitting your bank account.
It's more like a credit for on your
Yes.
order. So if you're looking to buy, so you're going to sell 20
we essentially wire
MacBooks.
transfer to them.
Right, we could wire the actual vendor you're going to make your next purchase from, so it's not like you're receiving money or you're not earning revenue. Is
more of a
what you're
transfer of
talking about,
funds.
right? So we're actually putting it towards your next purchase, so your next set of devices just costs a little bit less, or less than what it is, but it would not come through as a revenue side for you. Now we can do it as or we can say, you know what, can you cap a set? I've had some nonprofits say, okay, Tim, we can accept up to this threshold, so everything else, can you then either donate that to another site, but we'll take up to whatever, $10,000, but then the rest has to go to, name a site or name a charity or something, or a fund. So again, it really depends on the organization. So, but yeah, we can if we have the conversation, figure it out.
Thanks for your question. Anyone else? Questions or comments? Anything you didn't know that sparked your interest? All right, well, it's lunchtime. So I should make you wait until the last minute before I open. No, I'm just kidding. Enjoy your lunch. If you have any questions, we have a booth. Feel free to stop by, even after, if you don't want to voice your question out loud. We'll be available. We look forward to meeting all of you. And thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.